Hey everyone, it's Randall. Where to begin? Where to begin? By now, I'm sure everyone has heard about what happened in Midland and Odessa, Texas. Many people shot, many people injured. I heard some report that they had initially, after the shooting, stopped the individual who has been neutralized, according to officials, which is a pretty flowery way to say he is now dead. But this individual was shooting people in a shopping center. He was shooting at vehicles. The reports now, as I make this video, they will possibly increase after this has been uploaded. 5 are dead, 21 are injured, including a child younger than 2 among the injured. I haven't seen any, like I said, it's a fluid situation. Between the time I shoot this video and by the time I upload it, the information is going to change. So as far as I know, the child younger than 2, which could be 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, 14 months, the child is at a pediatric center at a hospital in Odessa, Texas, after being shot. Individuals not even out of diapers, and they've already had a bullet penetrate their body. It's just, you know, when a child's involved, it does sort of make a person sick to their stomach. And one thing that needs to be addressed is that on September 1st, which was one day after these shootings, several new laws went into effect in Texas as far as carrying weapons. And I'm going to read you a few. First one was House Bill 1143, which allows for gun owners to store guns and their ammunition in vehicles on school property as long as they are not in plain view. Well, genius. If something is stored, it's not in plain view. Let's look at Senate Bill 535, which allows guns in churches, which means essentially if an individual carrying a weapon goes into a synagogue, a mosque, a church to worship, they can't be refused. They have to be allowed to have their weapons on that property. Let's look at House Bill 302, which bans homeowners or landlords excuse me, from prohibiting residents to carry or store their ammunition on said property. Kind of noticing how we're using the Second Amendment to abridge other freedoms in, here. So let's look at what else we got here. We got House Bill 2363. Now this one's a doozy. Allows certain foster homes to store guns and ammunition on property as long as they are there to secure personal protection. All of these have been championed by the NRA, who happily, by the way, purchases votes by people like Mitch McConnell in order to best secure the Second Amendment rights of the people of Texas. And I find it just totally bizarre that the NRA now is essentially, well, they have been for years, but now they're more brazen about the fact that they are writing legislation to be enacted, to be pitched by whatever politician they've purchased at that moment, usually a conservative, to go and basically write laws the NRA will benefit from. Okay, more people buy guns, the NRA gets more members, the NRA makes money. See how this works? Now they're telling homeowners, yeah, you don't have the right to refuse somebody having a gun. You have to let them have it on your property. I submit to the fact that we are a gun culture. I understand that. Our forefathers and foremothers were all frontiersmen and women. Okay, they hunted buffalo, they hunted deer, they fished. I understand that. That's neither here nor there. But what I can't understand and wrap my mind around is our almost clinical obsession with guns. You know, when the Second Amendment was written, all right, let's look at the Second Amendment here, really quick. When the Second Amendment was written, Washington had deformed the Army, all right, and each state had its own militia. That was part of the meaning behind the Second Amendment. It wasn't just to ensure that you had guns in case you need to perform an insurrection against the government. It was also formed because each state had its own militia. Hence, the well-regulated militia part that's in there. And this was mainly to ward off any attacks by Native Americans in the area. So that was part of the reason of the Second Amendment there. It was also written to ensure against any insurrections performed by slaves. All right, so that was the main concern, to make sure everybody had a weapon. They wanted you to be able to defend yourself against Native Americans, and they wanted you to defend yourselves against your slaves decided to revolt. I believe Nat Turner led one of the most famous revolts. See, the Second Amendment was written at a different time, and we all know that. The Constitution was written to be a breathable document that changed with the times. All right? And I sit here and I wonder, how much more is it going to take? How big does the butcher's bill have to be? You know, we're a country that claims to love the children, right? We want to make sure our children grow up in a safe world. We are against abortion because it's killing an unborn child, right? So I guess what? If does a shooter have to attack a hospital and a maternity ward and focus on pregnant women before the NRA gives a damn? I don't know. I seriously don't know. You know, I am dumbfounded. I am confused. I am bewildered about what does it take. How big does the butcher's bill have to be before people look at the NRA and say, yeah, they're using the Second Amendment as a cash grab? All right. How big does the butcher's bill have to be before we realize that maybe we need to re-examine the Second Amendment like we've re-examined amendments before in the Constitution before? I'm not saying we have to strike down the Second Amendment like we did the 18th, but I do say it is time to revisit the Second Amendment and try to mold it in a way that shapes and conforms with the modern world. You see, when the Second Amendment was written, you had muskets. You didn't have a lot of huge firepower. Okay, you had cannons, you had muskets. Now you've got semi-automatic weapons. You've got plastic guns that can be created with a 3D printer. Weapons and guns have outpaced the Second Amendment. All right, I can go out and buy a 3D printer, download the instructions to create a plastic gun. Okay, it's that simple. The Second Amendment has been perverted by the NRA as a cash grab. We have watched children die as a result of our everybody gets a gun mentality. And yet, we refuse to change a thing. You know, if a shooting in a school, if a shooting of first and second graders didn't change us, if a shooting in a church didn't change us, if all the mass shootings we've had in 2019 alone haven't changed us, haven't made us re-examine the Second Amendment, look at it in a different light, and see if it can be modernized. Then what in the hell is it going to take to change us? There's the question, folks. And I leave it to you. What will it take to change us? And finally admit that maybe we're a little too obsessed with making sure everybody has a gun. That's it. Have a good night and a better tomorrow.